What's up, folks? Today is April the 20th, 2025. It's Easter. For those of you who celebrate, happy Easter. For those of you who are new to the channel, come on in. Appreciate you for joining. Be sure to like, subscribe, tell a friend. For those of you who are coming back, thank you for coming back. Hopefully you get something out of this video. So today I'm just going to go over with you really briefly something that I've been working on over the spring break vacation, and it'll be a little bit of a scramble episode, but hopefully you get something out of it. So the first thing I want to tell you, like I said, I just kind of glanced at the charts, and what I do as I glance at the charts, I come up with some ideas, and my programming has gotten good enough that where I can pretty much take my ideas and put them into a program. So I'm not struggling a lot anymore with getting the program, getting the algorithm, getting the syntax to work for me. So I'm grateful for that. It's been a couple years coming though, so don't get it twisted. All right. So this is just kind of where I am on this script. And again, this isn't a super complex script. It was complex enough to write, but it's not a super novel idea. It's just based on swing lows and retracements and that kind of thing. So let me show you where we are with the whole thing. All right, so let me see here. I'm missing one thing. Give me a second. Let me get this together. Okay, so here we are. We're back. So this is the strategy performance report. I'm looking back over about a 2-month period. So I'm just gonna kind of go with you. I'm gonna have you go with me or come with me through these different scripts. You see here we have swing high. So swing high, we're taking shorts with these. Okay, so this one down here on the 5-minute time frame. This is the equity curve for that. That goes back 2 months. This is the 1-minute time frame for the essentially the same strategy, just some different parameter inputs, and it goes back also 2 months. And then when I go here to the swing low one, this is the performance report for taking longs, and then that's the 5-minute time frame, and then this is the 1-minute time frame. So I've got some potential here. There's some potential. These equity curves are moving up. Obviously there's a bit of retracement here, but who would expect for a strategy to work forever in one direction, unless it's down. Anyway, what we're going to go over today is one of the things while I was at the beach. I learned a lot of stuff at the beach about how to incorporate my so when I was at the beach, I was remote connected to my computer here at the house, and I learned a lot about how to upload and download, about how to navigate through the remote connection, and the computer. I mean, we're so engrossed in the ability to actually do more with AI and more and more and more. There's a lot at our disposal, and I mean, even me, I have a lot of technology, and I don't use it all. And so now I'm really working on making sure that everything is interconnected, and so that I can use everything to its capacity that I have now. And I'm just taking advantage of that. I really am. All right, so let's move over here to the to my main display here. All right, so when you want to kind of organize your project, so for instance here I have the project, it's called Swing Low Strong, which this is how I started, because I'm primarily looking at going long. Of course, we know that the US market has tended to move in the upwards direction for the longest time. If it's moving down, with a certain amount of retracement, we're talking about recessions and depressions and that kind of thing. But the market is typically always going up. So I'm typically always looking for longs. I'm looking for a swing low retracement or push off or something like that. So I probably need to rename this, but right now I have several different scripts and strategies. I don't have any functions in here, but I've got several different things. Okay, so like this one here, this is just one of the strategies, and I don't even. This is a show me. This just shows you something about a swing low. Okay, but so the problem that I have with these projects. Okay, so I will close this project. I'll close this. The problem that I have with these projects is if you go to file and then you go to project, you go to new project. We're just going to name it project 1. Okay, so here you can double click that, nothing happens. You can right click it and you get some different menu items where you can add an existing item, add a new item. So this is pretty much you just making that new item just off the gate, right? All right, so we don't want that. We want stuff that we already have in our system, okay? So we can do add existing item, okay? Add existing item, and then it'll pull up all of the show me's, indicators, everything that you have. You can either go to all or you can sort by the different analysis technique. So we'll go to strategy. We'll just pull up one of these from last year. We'll hit, we'll double click it or hit open. And then when we hit open, it'll open it and then it'll put it right into your project. Okay, so you can right click on that and hit remove if you want to. Now, like I said, the problem that I have is I will come over here and boom, do a new indicator, boom, do a new show me, boom, do a paint bar. I will have all these new analysis techniques that I've made, but I might be focused on one specific project. I might not. But either way, I'll have all these new things over here, and then I can't just drag and drop. So watch this. If I go to open, let's go to just something random. Okay. Now say I want to put this in the project. I think Tradestation should have it set up to where that you can just take this and drag it, click it and drag it to right in here. Okay. It's not that way. All right, let's open another one. Okay. You should be able to take this and just drag it like this. Like you can drag it and move it from one location to another in this screen here. You should be able to take this and drag it and drop it right here into this project. You should be able to do that. You can't do that. Like I said, the only way to get your analysis techniques into this project is to right click and then go to add existing item and then that. Okay, so now when I come here, right, I know that I want 15-second axilla. I know that I want ES 051024. I know I want these two in here. If I don't have them somewhere where I can pull them up easily, so watch this. So 15-second axilla, exclamation mark, 15-second axilla. We're going to do add existing item, and then I have to pretty much come over here and then either do all or indicator or whatever it is, and then scroll down till I get to 15-second axilla. Now, the other thing that you can do is while you click within this box here, you can type what the name should be. So exclamation mark, we'll type ES, right? And it doesn't always do it right. So you see when I typed ES, it dropped the exclamation mark. And I don't know what the trick is to this, because sometimes it will drop it, sometimes it won't. You see that time it didn't drop it. So I don't know what the trick is. But one of the things I figured out, a kind of a workaround that I figured out while I was on vacation, is that if I know that I have these two up, and when you go to file, it'll show you your previously used analysis techniques, right? But say I have one analysis technique that I didn't modify, and so it's 40, it's instead of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, it's number 40 down here. It won't show up here. Now if it shows up here, then I can just click it, right, and it'll open it up. Okay, just because it opens it up, I can't drag it and drop it in here, right? So that's the problem. All right, so if this doesn't bother you, this is a good workaround. Okay, so what I could do is watch this. When you go to open and Coach EasyLanguage, he kind of helped me see this and understand this, right? So you can go to all here or go to whatever analysis technique that you want, whether it be indicator, and then go to modified. And then when you sort by modified, it'll show you the most recent, it'll sort your analysis techniques by the last to be modified. So I said, okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to modify these. So all three of these, I want these to be in my project. I'm just going to modify these slightly, put a space, verify, and save, put a space, verify and save, put a space, verify and save. Now it's been saved. That save date has been updated. So now when I come up here to project, these three, right? Axla, YouTube Send, and ES510. We're just going to go to add existing item. And now we're going to go to all because we have a strategy and a indicator here. And now we sorted by modified. You see Axla, ES05, and YouTube Send. So all three of those right there, I can click on one and hit shift. You know, you can hit control and you can click separate ones at one time, but just click those three that you want and then hit open. And now, of course, these are already open, but now it pulls it over here to the project. Okay, so from project, you know, if you do something in here, if you do something on here, if you do something on here, now you see the asterisk here. That means that these have not been verified nor saved. Okay, but you can come over here to the project, right click the project and hit verify. Okay, now it verified everything in that project and they were all fine. You know, there weren't any errors, so it just went ahead and verified and saved everything. So that's kind of cool there. All right, of course you can save your project or you can save it as a new name. So instead of project 1, we put project 2. Okay, so now it's saved as project 2, but we still have project 1 to use if we need to, right? Project open, and we still have project 1 that we can open. So it'll close project 2 and then it'll open project 1. Okay, so I'll remove YouTube Send from project 1. I'll go here, save, and then I will open project 2. So we're gonna close project 1. We had removed that 1. All right, now it came back because we're on project 2. Okay, so also you can go to, like I said, you do verify and then export. So export is one of the ones that I was able to take advantage of, again, while I was on vacation, because while remote connecting in, I could work on a project. It would make a modification to all of the indicators that I needed to modify. And then when I save it, I can then export it, and it'll export all of the strategies and functions all at one time, right? So you have a package. This is a project, it's a package. Instead of exporting this one and then exporting this one and exporting this one, right? So how do you export one at a time? You know, while you're within your development environment, you go to File, and then you go to Import Export. Then you can export one at a time. One at a time, that's no fun, right? You can just go here, right click, and export the whole thing all at one time. So that is very cool with the project window, the organization space. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. So not too long of a video. Yeah, nothing else I really want to talk about. Oh, other than, like I said, the last project that I was working on utilized the pivot. So if you've seen a lot of my videos, you know that I often will use, let me see. Let's just make a new one. I will often use like this. Okay, this is the swing low function. Okay, swing low is native to Tradestation. Swing low here, and it takes an instance price, and it has a equal amount of strength on one side of the pivot as it does on the other side of the pivot. Now, one of the things I started using for the last scripts that you saw, for the last indicators that you saw where the equity curve looked pretty decent, I actually had to utilize the pivot function. So pivot is a little bit longer, where it takes the price, length, and then it has a strength of the left side where it could be asymmetrical. So you might have a strength of 4 on the left, you might have a strength of 5 on the right. And then the instance, if you want the first instance of occurrence, second instance of occurrence, then your high-low. I think high is a 1 if you're looking for swing highs. And if you're looking for swing lows, it'll be a -1. And then you have the pivot. And then it outputs the pivot price and outputs the pivot bar. Okay. So I don't recall many of my videos where I actually talked about how that output works. Now, if you make your own functions, it's very similar. So let me show you how that works. Okay, so I think this might be called like a wrapper function, but at any rate, let's do pivot. We're going to do price, length, strength, instance, hello, price, and pivot. Okay, let's see if we can remember that. Okay, so price, we're going to do a low. We're going to look back 10 bars. We're going to have 4 bars on the left, 4 bars on the right. We're going to have it be a swing low, so -1. I think it was the first instance, then a swing low, and then the price. Okay, so now the next one would be, I think it was the price. So if you see here, instance hello, so you see here it's got an O, and typically, like for native Tradestation stuff, it'll have an O to let you know that this function actually outputs this information from this function. Okay, and you say, well, where does it put it to? Well, that's a good question. So let's do, and you see that this whole function has to be referenced as an integer. Okay, so it's got to be referenced as a number. Pivot price and then pivot bar. I think that's the number of bars it goes, so not the bar number. Yeah, the outputs, the pivot point values, and the bars that go. So it's not the bar number, it's the number of bars ago that it happened. Okay, so when you do this, to output the number, it's going to output it to a variable. So you need to either go up here and declare a variable that says output of, you name it whatever you want to, output of price, and that's going to be a number. And then you also need an output of bar, and then that's going to be a number also. Output of price, output of bar. And even if you don't want to use both of these, even if you only want to use output of price and you don't even need output of bar, you cannot neglect output of bar. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 problems with what I just did. Okay, so let's verify it. Okay, so the first problem is, well, we don't even need this because it was a conditional if, but it didn't have the then part. Okay, so let's verify it again. So pivot. Pivot is assignment to a function not allowed. Okay, so pretty much what that's just saying is we saw that this returns an integer. So this needs to say like value 1, which is can be an integer or double. Value 1 is going to be equal to this function. The function can't stand alone, if you will. All right, so now let's hit verify. Let's get this one out of here. Let's hit verify, and you see more inputs expected, right? So like I said, we only wanted price. We're not interested in output of bar, but we still have to put, we still have to have that variable assignment allowed available. All right, so now let's hit verify. So no errors now. Okay, so remember you have to assign it to a variable of type integer, at least a type integer, and you have to have all of the outputs. All of the outputs have to have a name. Okay, so we're going to verify that. All right, let's come over here to the whole thing, and then we're going to make a new chart, and then we're going to do that one's called delete indicator. I feel like I've done delete indicator before. So all right, we're going to zoom in. All right, we're going to indicator delete. Okay. All right, come on. All right, try to reference more bars back. That's just got to do with my max bars back setting that I have. That. Okay. All right. So now this is fine. We have value 1 is equal to this. What we need to do though is we need to say, now we just say if value 1 is greater than 0, because if this does not exist, then it will return a -1. If it does exist, then it will return, I don't know. I don't know what it returns. I know for the swing low and the swing high, it returns a different number. It returns a +1. So it returns a value 1 if a pivot is found. Okay. So if value 1 is greater than 0, then plot 1 low. Okay. All right, we got an error here. Try to reference more bars back. But we said that this was going to be a auto. Well, it's supposed to be auto detect. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to drag this up here to the main. All right, so this pretty much just says here that at this point, at this bar, we have detected that within 10 bars back, at this bar, we've detected how many ever 10 is. I don't know where 10 is, but we've detected that there is a swing low of 4 bars on one side and 4 bars on the other. Okay, and I think that swing low happened to be right here. Right now, it could have been that it found it here also, right? But either way, it found it within the last 10 bars. Okay, now this also found it within the last 10 bars because this just moves over. Now, as far as over here, we still found this swing low of 4 bars, even at this point. But now I guess at this point, at this next bar, we no longer saw this swing low. So this is probably like 10 bars. Okay. All right. So now the next thing that we might say, and typically what I do is I don't look back a whole 10 bars. If I have a swing length of 4 bars on one side, then I will look back 5 bars. Because the distance that you look back at least has to be 1 greater than the strength that you have on the right side. All right, so we'll verify that. So you see that pops up here, that it only shows up on that one side. That 1 bar shows that we did have a swing low. And that way, all of these other bars aren't firing. Okay, all right, so now we're looking at the output of the price. So we're, instead of, so while also plotting, we're going to plot, but we're also going to print. Bar date time dot to string. And we're going to, so we're going to have the bar date time, and then we're also going to print what the price level is, right? So output. And there's a method to my madness, so just bear with me. All right, output of price. Now, this output of price here is going to be a number. We can't, well, yeah, we can do that. All right, so now let's open up the print log, and you see down here, we're looking back on this bar, 417, 10 o'clock. It's 417, 10 o'clock. It says the price is 5309.75, right? So 5309.75 right here, okay, and 10 o'clock, this low here is 5309.75. Okay, that's this low here. Okay, see that? Low 5309.75. All right, so, but again, what we did to get there is that we, let me see. Let me put this in the right spot. Okay, so what we did to get there is that we printed output of price. Okay, so now we use value 1. I'm going to put here value 2. Value 2. Okay, So now if we scroll down, you see value 2 for all of these is pretty much saying 0. All these are saying 0 because value 2 is carrying the value of 0. Okay, but one thing that you can easily do, and this is what I do sometimes as a little cheat, is use a higher value 199 value value place. So I might put here, instead of I put a price, I'll just put value 99 instead of going and making a entire new variable, which, like I said, a lot of times it's necessary. It's good for you to be able to follow your program, but sometimes I'll have methods that might use this output here, and it's just within the method. It's very localized. Everything is right there. So I just use like value 99 so that I don't have to make a new variable. Now, again, depending on if you plan on coming back to the script, if this is a throwaway script, and sometimes I will make throwaway scripts, which I just make really quickly, and I don't intend on using it in other places. It might be a test script or something like that. So I don't put a lot of time into the organization or the appearance of it or anything like that. So you can use value 99. Here we'll just put value 99, and you'll see that it works just the same. Okay, so now we'll come back down. When we scroll down, you see these numbers. It took the same thing, right? So we go back to 10 o'clock, and again, it says 5309.75. Okay, so the only thing that needs to be said about that, again, is that when you are using these kind of wrapper functions that have outputs, you want to make sure that you do have a variable here that will take the output, and that variable doesn't have to be anything fancy or individualized. It just needs to be of the right type. And keep in mind, though, as I understand from just my dealings with EasyLanguage, value 1, all these values that have been created by Tradestation, these reserve word values, they are not intrabar persist, and you can't make them intrabar persist. I don't even know if it says it here. True or false? True or false variables. Condition, remarks, hold doubles. Right, see, pre-declared variables generally used during the early development stage of a study. Right, it's not something that you want to use, for a long-term variable. They're replaced with descriptively named user-declared variables in the final version of a study. Right. All right. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about. Oh, there we go. Yep, see, says it right there. Pre-declared variables are not intrabar persist, right? And you can't make them intrabar persist. So if we are doing something in the method and this value needs to change 5 times, then it won't hold the value when it gets to the end of the. It won't hold the value when it gets to the end of the calculation, or the calculations within can't be held either. So if you wanted to go and say like variable, so like out of price, we can make that intrabar persist. Intrabar persist. Okay, highlights. Oh, you spelled it right. Okay, but if we also want to then go and intrabar persist value 99. Now it will do it, but you see that now it no longer works as a reserved word, because now the variable name is value 99. So I mean, I guess when you think about it, you can do it as intrabar persist. You just still have to come up and declare it, right? You can't just assume that value 1 if you use it within some fancy method. You can't assume that it will work as intrabar persist just because it's being called within the method, and the method is working within a bar. This won't be intrabar persist. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you got a little something out of this today. If not, then let me know why not, and maybe something that you're more interested in. Yeah. Happy Easter, folks. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.